So I just returned from Pro Land by the Fire, and I brought an element that y'all have been watching me wrench on. Now, some people in the comments were like, yeah, but what happened to the Sherpa? Did you finish the Sherpa? Yeah, actually the Sherpa has been finished. I just don't have a body mount on it. But the things that I learned about doing body mounts while I was at Pro Land by the Fire, because I didn't mount a body before I went there, it's actually going to be really useful. So here it is. Here is the element with the TGH Titan chassis that I just finished up. There wasn't really a whole lot to do while I was there, but I finished up while I was there. And I didn't bring any extra hardware. I didn't bring any extra body mounts. And I ended up figuring out with just the things that were on the rig how to bolt on the body. And actually, it looks like in shipping that the body broke through. That's a shame. Oh well, I can fix it. But let me just show you what I did. So the event itself, I wish that I could describe how fun it was so easily and tell you about all the friends that I met. But suffice it to say that my memory isn't so great that I'm going to remember all the names and all the details. But while I was there, the actual event, the vendors were fantastic. Talked to everybody that I could while I was there. Picked up a couple things here and there. Got a set of Pitbull rims because I needed something a little heavier while I was there for it. We got lights from My Trick RC, I believe is the name. Where is that bag of them? I had a bag of them. Yes, somewhere around here. Yeah. I'm almost 100% positive My Trick RC is the company. These really cool little LED lights that you can see. We just CA glued it on. The 1/10 Rod Shop, they helped me glue them on because he had just the right stuff for it and an accelerator and all that. Managed to break an LED before I even got into the trail because I had the radio hanging from me on Joe rope, and I caught my pocket on the throttle and it just boom launched off the table like really fast. And of course there was jokes about your source for power because of that, but yeah, just everybody willing to help out, and hey, you need a little bit of this or a little bit of that. A fella named Johnny from NorCal helped me out with a battery strap because I did forget one of those. But let's talk about the mount that I made while I was there and the things that I need to do to this rig now. So yeah, I definitely lost some body somewhere. It may have actually been on the rocks. Originally, when I was putting this together, I wanted to have the pivot on the front for the body because I chopped off the original body mounts. I brought the original body mounts with me from the TG or the Element chassis, and I just kind of screwed through. I had some extra hardware that was already on the rig that I stole from the rear bumper mount, and then just did like this. So originally the body was going to pivot on these, but I couldn't get it to pivot up enough without hitting stuff. So what I ended up doing was I more hard mounted these, and then as you can see on the back side, I flipped the bumper mount around. I kind of loosely mounted it with only 2 screws, and then I shoved the 2 remaining body posts through that bumper mount. And it's not the exact right size. There's a little bit of wiggle room, quite a bit of wiggle room between the body posts and the bumper mount itself. But as you can see, there we go. The body posts go straight through the back of the body. Boom, body flips up. We've got enough wire here from our LED lights that allowed me to crawl at nighttime very easily. But we've got enough room here so that this, I can lift the body all the way up, or I can just unplug it. It works fine on 5 volts. These were plenty bright on 5 volts. I hear they're absolutely nuts on like 7.4 or 8.4. I don't know if these have an integrated resistor into them or if it's just a bunch of LEDs in a row. I'd have to kind of look at it a little heavier, but I don't think that these have integrated resistors on them. So maybe a good idea on the higher voltage to put either a resistive bridge or just a current limiting resistor in line with them. But yeah, we'll deal with that later. Electronics wise, everything worked extremely well running the 500 LP servo. There were some spots on those rocks that it would actually stall out. I was only running 3S LiPo, but it's a really small servo. It's a low profile servo. There is going to be a point to where you can get it into a situation to where it'll stall out. Other than that, if I still had the plastic links, it'd just been the links instead, and we wouldn't be able to tell either way. So I don't know if I really want to add more power to this, or if I want to just keep it lightweight. The Revolver Team Spec did extremely well on the rocks. It was running a little bit hot because I have stock settings on the Crawlmaster ESC, so in Sine mode, that original startup mode, the first startup mode, Sine power is set at 6 stock, and this small of a motor with this high of a KV 2250, bringing that Sine power down to 5 or possibly even 4 is going to help with the heat a whole bunch. So a little bit of tuning that I need to do with that. We do still have the original gear ratio in the tranny. I had an 18 tooth pinion and dropped down to what is this, a 14. Just traded with a guy that needed a bigger pinion. I needed a smaller pinion, and that actually reduced our heat a whole bunch as well, and reduced my crawling speed. Is in the last video when I was testing it out on the rocks without a body. I did talk about that to where it needed to be geared down just a little bit. Same for, I think, the other element that I have. Just could use some gear down. So just a little bit more tuning, but I went out there and it really wasn't hooking up so well on the rocks. And this is because it's a really light rig. I made it even lighter than the stock, you know, getting rid of the heavy body and everything. And so what I ended up doing, it may be kind of hard to see there on the overhead because the tires are really dirty, but I ended up cutting and siping these tires over and over and over again while I was out there. And every time I would do it, I was getting gains on the rocks. It was hooking up better and better. I needed a little bit more forward weight bias to it, so I put some pit bulls on the front. It really helped. You know, I could have just gotten pit bull tires while I was there, but I was kind of digging just tuning these stock tires and watching them break in and having all the wheels spin. And there's something to be said about having a crawler that's not overly capable. And on these rocks, which were already high traction, it was more fun for me to just take away more and more and more material, take away more lugs. You know, I did half of every third lug on these tires on the inside, and then half of every outside lug, and a quarter of every other lug there, and then like a quarter of the inside lugs on that row, and then I did every other one, completely took out every other tread on the back outer, and then on the back inner it was every third one. So it just messing around with patterns, and every time I would take off more material, it would hook better and better because the rig is pretty light. So the next thing that I'll need to do if I want to continue getting these tires to hook is take off some of these. I snipped them so that we would get more sidewall flex, but I didn't take them off. If I want to go more, I'm going to need to sand these sidewalls down a little bit more, potentially get some foams that are softer, but as the foams break in, it's probably going to be fine. So I could just sand and sipe and just make these tires more and more flexible, really. So sanding the inner sidewall down is one way to do it. So just testing and tuning. Had a really good time out there just testing and tuning and going back out on the rocks just over and over again. I burned up a lot of batteries, not literally. I discharged a lot of batteries and just had a great time. So I wouldn't say that this rig is done, but this rig is getting extremely capable and it can only get better from here, honestly. So the next thing that I need to do, maybe make a little, either a piece of foam or something for my battery to sit on, because I was having some issues with the battery sliding and it does kind of butt up against the edge of this rail here. So just a little something there, retune my ESC, and then probably just continue siping tires unless I end up going to a different set. But the rocks out there aren't going to be the same as the rocks out here. So the first thing I'm going to do is just tune the ESC, maybe do something with a battery mount, and then we'll go out and we'll try to burn up some tires on the rocks, see how it does. So yeah, great time out at Proline by the Fire. I'm glad I had lots of time for wrenching and tuning and having a good time. And this rig, yeah, I'm kind of sad that I had that piece of body break. It must have been on the rocks and I just didn't notice it because it looks like it's not sitting around here. It wasn't in my bag. So, but having that hinged body mount from the stock parts is pretty cool. So what I'm going to do on the Sherpa chassis is try to duplicate that, and we'll just see how it goes. So there we go. Update on the Element with TGH Titan chassis and a V17 body. If you're the guy that sent me this body, leave your comment down below. I don't remember who sent this to me. Really appreciate that, and it is definitely going to get good use. There was a lot of people at the event that were I wouldn't say upset, but maybe concerned that I was wheeling a Betty body as hard as I was on the rocks. I mean, it was practically unused when I got it. And you can see I put a lot of scratches on it. There's more holes in it than there was before. There's a lot of paint that's now flaking off. I did have to trim the body some more. I bought a set of body scissors while I was there. Kind of trimmed these fender flares open. They had a little bit of lip on them and they were rubbing pretty bad. But I mean, it tucks really nice. I could probably slam the body down on the front just a little bit more. It would rub, but it just tucks really, really nice. And I can actually, the way that both these front and back body mounts operate, I can actually kind of tune where it sits so that we can get a perfect tuck in the rear. And then I'll just need to hard bolt the front a little better. But yeah, what a great time. Had a marvelous time there, wheeling and wrenching. Would definitely recommend that you go to Proline by the Fire if you can. So there we go. I got a rig done. It's working and it still needs tuning, like always. So, thanks for tuning in. If you got any comments on the rig, what you would do to it or what you'd like to see to it, leave them down below. I'll do my best to get to them. And as always, have a great day.